Rorschach's Journal, August 19th, 2016. A group of 6 desperate students this afternoon. They are afraid of the end of the semester. They've seen its true face. They could have followed the steps of good men, decent men who do their work when they have to. Instead, they chose to follow the steps of those who procrastinate and complain about the work they could have done weeks ago. Don't tell me they didn't have a choice. Now they stand on a brink, staring down into bloody hell. All those students suddenly have something to say.
Zeballos,
Alison Ramirez,
Henriquez,
Toledo,
Camila Vallejos,
and Maria Fernanda Silva.
And in this video segment, we are going to analyze the conspiracy and violence in the worlds of Watchmen and Sandman. But first, we are going to explain how these graphic novels were developed. These 2 graphic novels were written mainly in the 90s.
They differed a great deal and emerged from the comic, which had its heyday in the 70s.
During that time, the traditional comic reflected mainly traditional ideologies such as communism, chauvinism, and individualistic heroism that can be seen as simplistic plots that only were responding to that society.
Fortunately, the graphic novel rises in the 90s, taking a tour towards an aesthetic reformulation and a reformulation of the plots.
In the graphic novel, meta-reflection is made more consciously, and the characters lose their moral axis frequently, and they respond to a context given by a more progressive postmodernity, which includes nuclear wars, relativity, etc.
All these changes have given the opportunity to truly admire the art from a whole new perspective.
The first important author that took part in the change within the fictional novel world is Alan Moore, who was born on November the 18th in 1953 in Northampton, England. He is a celebrated writer of comics and graphic novels, whose work includes the incredible piece of art V for Vendetta, and of course, the graphic novel that has us gathered here today, Watchmen.
Watchmen is an American graphic novel that was created by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. It's actually considered to be the world's best-selling graphic novel. Watchmen was set in 1985 during the Cold War. The world was expecting an imminent nuclear war between the Americans and the Soviets. So there was a huge chaos in the streets, people were desperate, and that leads to a rising wave of violence. The author is Neil Gaiman, who was born on November the 10th, 1916, in Hampshire, UK. Gaiman began his writing career in England as a journalist.
The groundbreaking series Sandman followed, collecting a large number of US awards in the 75th issue run, including 9 Will Einstein Comic Industry Awards and 3 Harvey Awards.
In 1991, Sandman became the first comic ever to receive a literary award, the 1991 World Fantasy Award for Best Short Story.
In this video, we will present definitions of the concepts of conspiracy and violence. Then, we will relate them to both graphic novels. We will mirror these concepts, as presented in the novels, with current affairs.
Firstly, we will define what a conspiracy theory is. Keeley defines a conspiracy theory as a proposed explanation of some historical event or events in terms of the significant causal agency of a relatively small group of persons, the conspirators, acting in secret. Thus, we will attempt to find moments in which a small group of people act secretly to accomplish something of their interest.
Secondly, we will define violence according to the World Report on Violence and Health. That states that it is the intentional use of physical force or power, threatened or actual, against oneself, another person, or against a group or community, that either results in or has a high likelihood of resulting in injury, death, physiological harm, maldevelopment, or deprivation.
It further divides the general definition of violence into 3 subtypes according to the victim-perpetrator relationship. First of all, there's self-directed violence, and it refers to the violence in which the perpetrator and the victim are the same individual and is subdivided into self-abuse and suicide. Then there is interpersonal violence. This refers to violence between individuals and is subdivided into family and intimate partner violence and community violence. Then finally there is collective violence. That refers to violence committed by larger groups of individuals and can be subdivided into social, political, and economic violence. Considering this classification, we will attempt to determine the characteristics of some of the acts of violence that we identified in Watchmen and Sandman. So let's talk about violence in the graphic novels. For example, in Watchmen, there's a moment in which the people are tired of the abusive power that the Watchmen are exercising. So they protest against them with the motto, "Who watches the Watchmen?"
Okay, I believe that this violence is prompted by the atmospheres developed by the Cold War. Because I think that people in these cases stop believing in having a future, so they even dare the superheroes. So the equilibrium started to break, and this may lead to the deconstruction of the world as it is already known by these people. So people start to go insane and violent, etc.
Yes. And if you remember, during that manifestation, the Watchmen arrive, and among them there are divided opinions or divided beliefs. Yes. Of what they should do in relation with that manifestation. For instance, Dan wants to peacefully approach the people, so in that way they can they can avoid a bigger mess. So they can maybe establish a dialogue between the protestants.
Yes, that is related to what you said before, because there are different postures among the group, because some people want to, as Dan did, that he had another personality, he was a more passive character, he was like the representation of the avoidant or more anxious personality. He needed he chose actually the peaceful way to act in that manifestation, because the anxious personality has feelings like inadequacy, or they are extreme sensitive to negative evaluation and situations, and they have avoidance of social interactions, so they prefer to calm down the things.
Yes, so we can say that he has like an avoidant or anxious personality disorder.
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, because he wasn't able to face the situations. He preferred to be peaceful, to avoid the situation.
Maybe he was something that more related with what we think about being a superhero. Someone that is more peaceful,
calm, mediator, right?
Yeah, a mediator in this situation, in the manifestation between the superheroes and the society.
But actually, on the other side, we have the comedian.
Yeah,
and
the other
I think we all
remember
like his posture about this subject, like when he gets out of the vehicle and he starts like beating people.
Yes.
Like they're like shooting. They're like two opposite sides.
And an opposite personality
And
too,
opposite
because he was he suffered an antisocial personality disorder, because he uses the violence against the people that he must protect. He must defend. Yeah, so people with this disorder are referred to be sociopaths and psychopaths.
Yeah.
Like the personality that he shows. Yeah. Yeah.
And do you think that these situations reflect on our current society?
Totally, yes. So, they keep happens nowadays. For example, here in Chile, the same Chile, the policemen that should protect society
They are
against the local superheroes and human. They are against, for example, the social manifestations, the same students.
And they act with violence.
They act with violence. They must protect us.
They usually fall in acts of police brutality.
Yes, totally. I mean, they have to protect people, but they act against people that are manifesting against something that isn't working right.
Exactly.
For example, the educational system, they actually have dead students. Students have died in protests. Have died in manifestations because of the acting of policemen. Yes.
And maybe just because they are drunk on power.
Yeah.
Yes, with power they they feel like they can do whatever they want.
It's like,
Yeah, right.
and they won't have consequences because they're police and they're
And
Yeah.
yes,
supposed to belong to a prestigious.
And think about
institution.
the uniform. When kids actually wear a uniform, and maybe
Yes.
that's how they are feeling. Like we're like we're like superheroes. We're wearing this uniform. We're protecting people.
We have the power.
We have
Yeah,
the power.
we have
We're on
the
the
power.
street actually trying to protect people. But what happens when these kind of situations happen? Actually,
escapes of their.
Get out, get out,
Yeah,
of,
it's-
con-
it's a-
get out of control.
yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I believe that nevertheless in Watchmen there is still hope, and because even though there
How
is
so?
violence,
How so?
well, because even though there is violence and indignation, angry, because people is angry.
Yeah.
That is why they are manifesting. They are screaming. They are pushing each other in the streets. They want to. For example, there was a moment in the comic where I believe that there was a final moment in
Okay.
which, like the few seconds before, like this global
World starts again.
no, it's like the machine.
Oh,
Yeah, the machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Adrian developed. Yeah, there was a moment in which there were a couple of women that were arguing about their relationship, and they start pushing each other, and I believe that in that moment people realized that they had to help each other. I believe that if they didn't help each other, the world would be lost. That is why there was this character, Rorschach's psychologist, when he told his wife, and I'm going to read this, Gloria, please, in a world like this, I mean, it's all we can do. Try to help each other. That means anything. And I believe that that is one amazing conclusion that this vision of Watchmen gives us.
Yes.
Yeah,
Maybe
totally.
that is something that we have to do. Help
Help
each
each
other
other.
in order to
We
build a better world.
To recover the empathy.
Yes.
could be?
Yes.
Yeah, nowadays we have to do this. If we don't help each other, I believe that the ones in power are going to do whatever they want with us.
They will continue doing
Yeah,
it.
they will
Yeah.
continue doing
stand
it.
for us. Like not letting that anyone like we were talking about superheroes. No, like maybe it's our time to actually stand out for what we think that it's right and what we want to defend, and that's
Yeah, we
Should
have
be actually
to
each
start
other.
defending our point of view.
And help each other out.
Yes, help each other.
In relation with the conspiracy that what was present in Watchmen,
Yeah.
Adrian created a plan in order to finally achieve the world peace. Yes. However, this plan involved a huge cost for humanity. According to him, the only way of solving the imminent threat of a nuclear war was by creating a non-conventional solution. In order to achieve what he thought it was right.
actually like to follow the idea. He took off like all the superheroes that will threat the realization of his plan, and also he incriminate John by creating like this destroyer machine and also to destroy like all the main cities of the world, and so that the U.S. and the Soviets will actually stop the fight and actually create a peace.
Peaceful
Just
war.
stop the fight with a fight. No, I don't know. I don't understand that idea. But well, Adrian referred to himself as the smartest guy in the world, and his behavior includes a narcissistic personality.
Yes,
So yes, because he needs a constant admiration. He has a lack of empathy with the rest of the world, and searches always searches grandiosity. And this character's personality reminds me the actual candidate to the U.S. presidency, Donald Trump, because yes, he is a blonde millionaire guy that wants to control the situation. Yeah, he is like my idea is great and I want to apply it in the world. I don't care what you say, but this is the best idea ever, and I want to do it. Like the wall between the United States and Mexico, it is the worst idea that someone can propose, but I don't know. Donald Trump, I think, will do it if he is the next president of the United States. Adrian reminds me this character. I don't know what you think about it.
Okay, I don't agree because Adrian is looking for a way to unify the world in a positive way. Whereas Donald Trump has individualistic ideas that only benefit a small group of people.
Yes.
Group of people, sorry.
But I think that's exactly why they're similar. Because from Trump's perspective, he's doing the world a favor. He's making America great again.
Yes. Oh, okay.
And that's a big point throughout the movie, that the line between good and bad is blurry.
Yeah.
How good is
All,
the idea?
all
how
depends
bad
of
the effects
the
are.
perspective that the person has. Because some people may think that Donald Trump is like the bad guy, but maybe he in his own mind thinks that this is the best plan.
And a lot of people approve
Yeah.
that
Yes,
as
yeah.
ideology.
That's what I
So
was saying.
It all depends
He's
on
not the
the perspective that person
Because
has.
there's actually people supporting him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
that's
we
the
hear
point.
people.
So he's not as crazy as we can think, because it's a collective ideology.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would like to close this idea with the following question. Does the
Yes.
end really justify the means? Is it okay to sacrifice innocent people for the sake of the world peace? What do you think about that?
Sandman now.
Sandman.
Now, so in comparison with the violence present in Watchmen, the kind of violence that is visible in Sandman is more produced by the ambition of the evil inside the people of the
Yes.
novel than by the psychological condition of the person.
Yes, these people are actually looking for power rather than achieving a greater good. So the violence in this novel is more interpersonal between specific people. Whereas in Watchmen it was more social, because it takes place as an event that breaks the equilibrium of society as in general. Here is just one against other one.
Yes. Yes. The violence in Sandman is present in different
Sorry.
ways throughout the novel. First, at the beginning of the novel, the first part of the novel, when Roderick talks with Sandman while he is kidnapped, and he threats him
Yes.
him with not letting him go unless Sandman provides him with power and immortality. So here is now the topic of the ambition of the person that is
Yes.
the bad one.
Yes, when Sandman finally escapes from his prison, he takes revenge of his son's captor by giving him an eternal nightmare after nightmare. Do you imagine that? Oh my god, how terrible would be that? Which is also sort of related when after 50 years, Alex tells him, I haven't had a decent nightmare, a decent sleep for 16 years. Is that your fault, is it?
Okay, so in terms of the conspiracy, that can be observed in the graphic novel Sandman. It is mainly related with the fact that there is a sort of sect or worship in the area of the occultism.
Yeah, this sect is trying to get as much power as they can without taking in consideration the consequences of what it actually means to evoke the death, even if this goes wrong and end up evoking and kidnapping to her brother Sandman.
Yeah, actually that's the other part, because it's not just one conspiracy. I think there's more than one. For example, when the guy that actually evokes the Sandman starts talking with another guy and says like, no, it's okay. Like I'm going to teach all these things to my son, so that if I can talk with the Sandman, then my son will be. And then like this guy that was like his right hand starts saying like, okay, I have to do something, because if something happens, I'm not going to lose everything that I've worked for. So he starts to conspire in a way, and he goes out of this the place that they were actually staying, and he steals the things that were belonging to Sandman. There was like this ruby, the bag of sand, and this mask that was like this helmet.
Yes.
So it's like they're even like there's like this conspiracy between them. It's like
One of them.
It's
Yes,
one
one
of
of
them.
them, and inside that
inside that sect.
After After analyzing these two amazing graphic novels, we can identify that both present cases of violence and conspiracy.
Yes.
However, these issues are shown in very different ways. Since in Watchmen the conspiracy was made by only one person, Adrian, and in Sandman there were several conspiracies made by the sect, as we said it before, as you said. And besides, it was mind-blowing to come into contact with these worlds that are so unknown for us.
Yes.
And to finish, I want to ask you guys, which was your favorite character? Why?
Because he was the only with these strong principles, and he maintains them till the end of the graphic novel.
Yes. I believe that he was the hero with the best critical thinking and was able to see the personality disorders of his colleagues. For example, he saw how the comedian was the only one able to see the true reality of society, and he chose to laugh about it.
And also, let's remember that all of this depends on perspective. Because, for example, when he was actually willing to die to defend his principles, it didn't make sense to everyone. And this reminded me of when we were in class and the professor mentioned the example of a journalist that is willing to die when going to a war zone. And even though this might not make sense to all of us.
It's like seeking for the truth, actually.
And what would you prefer? Common good or absolute truth?
Rorschach's Journal, August 20th, 2016. Final entry: just finished discussions. Still feel uneasy. I could still fail the course. At least it will be over soon. If reading this now, whether I am alive or dead, you will know truth. Whatever the ending of the semester, I tried my best. For my own part, regret nothing. Have studied hard, read all the novels, and now, finally free, and step into the shadow without complaint.